talking about highlighting the anti-immigration protests in South Africa. Joining me now on the program is Professor Uchenna Emelonye of the School of Oriental Studies at the University of London. He's also a former United Nations Human Rights Envoy. He joins me from Imo State. Professor Emelonye, thank you for joining us on the program. And you've called for ECOWAS and civil society organizations to scale up advocacy and response efforts in recent attacks against foreigners in South Africa. Could you give directions as to what else they can do?
Thank you, Malachi. Thanks for having me here. In my previous engagement on this matter, I have highlighted the seriousness of the incidents that we are experiencing in South Africa and called it the right name, which is xenophobic attacks. Having said that, and having called for the civil society organizations and the ECOWAS community to intervene, there are still other options that can be explored. The first is the option that the government of South Africa should explore, which is to immediately protect Nigerians resident in South Africa, or all Africans resident in South Africa. That's responsibility. It's core in their treaty obligation. The responsibility and the duty to protect cannot be washed away. Secondly, the government of Nigeria should continue their diplomatic pressure on South Africa. I saw a bit of the photo shoot of the encounter between the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the acting ambassador of South Africa. The optics of the pictures does not convey the seriousness of the matter. And this is a very serious matter that should be sternly dealt with. People are dying, Nigerians are suffering, but Nigerians are losing valuable properties in South Africa, and this should not be taken lightly. And thirdly, which is an option that is still open, this matter should be escalated to the regional bloc. ECOWAS can deal with it as a community because ECOWAS community rank first and third in the ranking of countries affected by this, and this is Nigeria and Ghana. Beyond ECOWAS as well is the fact that Nigeria can trigger the African Union to convene a special session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights for this matter to be addressed, for the xenophobia attack of Nigeria to be addressed, where the African Commission would pass a resolution impressing upon South Africa to do the needful. And the needful in this case is to protect. And by protection, we mean stop the attacks, arrest the perpetrators, prosecute the perpetrators, and most importantly, look at providing a sustainable, durable solution to the crisis. Some people call it a never again commitment, a guarantee of never again. If you know, historically, this matter happened for the first time in 2008. Right. The second attack happened in 2015. It happened in 2019, and it's happening now. So this is a trend, this is a pattern, and we should be able to curtail this.
Indeed. And Nigeria is already planning the repatriation of citizens from South Africa. I understand at least 120 people have shown positively responded to efforts to return to Nigeria. There's also early warning signals, as indicated by the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Apart from all of this, the promise, of course, for both countries to work together, do you think this is a strong enough response by Nigeria, the fact that, the acting High Commissioner was summoned? This is a problem, as you have highlighted, has happened, intermittently over the years. What response would be strong enough for Nigeria so that South Africans get it, that they can't keep doing this?
I would also go back to the comment in your news where Nigeria is signing an MoU with South Africa in this material time. That is not acceptable. I mean, what nature of MoU are we dealing with when we are in the middle of a crisis? So in this middle of the crisis, what should be very important is the immediate action to protect people in South Africa, and not an MoU that needs a long period of time to be implemented. And by the way, MoU are just aspirational. They are not in any way an obligation. We have an obligation, which is the law. South Africa has signed to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which is binding in South Africa. South Africa has also signed the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. South Africa is a member state of the African Charter. However, even internally, the Constitution of South Africa guarantees and prohibits discrimination So these are all legal frameworks that we have to deal with, and not an MOU. Having said that, the fact that the government of Nigeria is willing to repatriate Nigerians home, it's okay, but that is not a preventive measure. That is not a sustainable measure. So I wouldn't vote for an outright repatriation without addressing few enablers. The first enabler is how many Nigerians do we have in hotspot areas? Can we move them from hotspot area A to a safe area B? It is when we must have exhausted that, we now look at repatriation, because this violence happens in pockets of communities in South Africa. It is not so overwhelming that the whole of South Africa is unsafe. There are safe enclaves in South Africa, and this should be the first port of call for Nigeria to relocate those that need relocation. And in any case, because relocation and repatriation is a voluntary decision, if a Nigerian wants to come back, obviously Nigeria is open to every Nigerian to return. But as a government policy, as a foreign policy measure, this should not be the first reaction of the government of Nigeria. They exactly by doing this is a response to the expectations of the xenophobic attack. They want you to leave. Nigerians who are legal in South Africa have the abundance of the laws, international, regional, and national, to protect them, and this is what Nigeria should trigger.
Professor Uchenna Emelonie, thank you again for speaking to us about this and sharing your analysis and thoughts.
Thank you so much.